We put ourselves through unthinkable action, unthinkable emotions for the causes and the people that we love. And so intention matters, expectation matters. When you choose that thing that you want to suffer for, you endure that suffering and even near enjoy it in certain cases. If pain and suffering really are based on your perspective of that thing, whether or not you expected that pain, that misery, that disappointment, how can we start to cope better? What do you class as pain and suffering? Because the things that the one person will see as suffering and misery and pain are things that other people will happily pay money for. And so if I can see something as acceptable and you see it as painful, it means that pain and suffering really come down to point of view, mindset, perspective, and experience. When you decide to take on a challenging task with an outcome and a purpose that is meaningful to you, you happily endure those activities despite the challenge and the difficulty that they may pose to you. And so, pain and suffering and misery are concepts that are subjective. They're based on you, they're based on your mood at the time, because something that you may be willing to do today, you may be unwilling to do the next day. You may be willing to do for the one person, but you may be unwilling to do for the other person because the circumstances change, the relationships change, and your intention and motivation to do those things change. So, what then is suffering or misery or pain? Is it the thing that is inflicted upon you without expectation and intention, or a feeling that is measurable? If something is painful to me but not painful to you, or painful to me today but not tomorrow, it means that we can use the perception and perspective around whatever feels like misery and pain and suffering to adjust how we cope with those difficult things. It means that we can navigate our way out of difficult situations even when we haven't put ourselves in those positions because the outcome is favorable, that outcome of overcoming and healing and moving past that roadblock, whatever it is. And yes, the experiences are going to be difficult and challenging and unexpected. But having that intention and motivation to move away from unfavorable situations has been proven in this discussion to be a motivating factor of success. So, how can we then use this thinking to get away from difficult situations, feelings of worthlessness and hopelessness, feelings of brokenness, and just taking that responsibility to get ourselves from point A to point B, irrespective of how we got there? What is pain? What is suffering? And what are you willing to suffer for? Because that's what it all comes down to. If pain is something that we can bear, and if suffering is something that we sometimes put ourselves through for outcomes that are favorable to us, it means that when we choose it, when we are willing, and when we have that intention to go after those goals, suffering and pain are no longer significant. And when we choose who we want to suffer for, what we want to suffer for, all of those things become bearable, however painful they are. So, what is it that is meaningful enough for you to want to suffer for? And suffering can be that sleepless night, that persistent action to get your health and weight, and that overall success towards whatever is meaningful to you. That success that needs you to endure a certain level of pain, whether in the gym or at work or in your routines or in your discipline, being able to abstain from or persist in or put up those meaningful boundaries. Suffering means that you have that intentional desire to put yourself through something meaningful for an outcome that is desirable to you. And if that is how we define suffering and pain and misery, and then even if it's inflicted upon you, then your health and well being require you to do what it takes every time, even if you haven't put yourself in those situations, to heal, to overcome, to grow, and to build on whatever it is in terms of finances and relationship, and just moving yourself out of unfavorable situations into those that are healthier, that will make you happier, and that will make you more sustainable in your life. So, here is what it comes down to. What are you willing to suffer for? Are you willing to suffer for love, for children, for family, for finances? And most importantly, are you willing to suffer for yourself? Are you willing to put in what it takes? Are you willing to take that meaningful action to bring you to the next level of that desirable outcome? To move you from wherever you're currently sitting, to move you from that painful and hurtful and miserable situation, however you got into it, to take you to the next level intentionally, to embrace that pain willingly, knowing what the outcome will be for you. Are you willing to do that? Because that's what it comes down to. What pain are you willing to embrace? What suffering are you willing to endure? What outcome is important enough for you to put yourself through all of those things meaningfully?